Good morning. I'm Atty. Barry Gutierrez, the spokesperson of former Vice President Leni Robredo.
Magandang umaga po. I'm former spokesperson Relly Fajardo from President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo's administration. And we are the spokes.
From the palace halls and the OVP den to our group chats now,
We'll be giving you perspectives from an insider's position standing behind the podium.
noted by the spokes today, President Bongbong Marcos has appointed former DILG Secretary Benhur Abalos as head of the Office of the Cabinet Secretary or OCS.
Atty. Barry, excited ako ngayon na tayo nagkasama. Alam ko masaya kang kasama, kaya maganda tong morning na to.
Oo, makasaysayang umaga.
Diba? Happy na nandito. Ikaw ang aking partner today. Although nakakamiss naman si Atty. Trixie.
Oo nga.
Yeah, but we'll pray for her mom.
Yes.
So, anyways, Atty. Barry, si Secretary Abalos, I've known him for a while, no? Medyo distant, medyo related kami. Although,
okay.
hindi naman as relatives, no?
Okay.
Pero yung mga in-laws ng mga kapatid ko.
Okay.
So, I've known him personally. He's very professional, at saka, he's highly qualified to be a cabinet secretary. Many would argue even na because of his qualification, he could have been more effective also in other position. Cabinet position, mas qualified siguro siya sa mga ibang mga cabinet secretaries
He was
ngayon.
previously DILG prior
yeah.
to the midterm elections.
That's correct, no? 'Di ba? He was MMDA chairman, and as we know, matagal siya naging mayor ng ng Mandaluyong. In fact, nung mayor siya, he was the president of the League of Cities of
Yes,
the Philippines,
I remember.
'di ba?
Tama.
And he did very well. Kaya talagang magaling naman siya. And ang cabinet secretary, Atty. Barry, alam mo naman, pwedeng magkaroon ng konting overlapping yung function niyan with PMS.
Kasi basically coordinating the
Yes.
different agencies and the different cabinet portfolios.
Tama, oo. So, it's really, pero more on higher level than PMS kasi secretary level nga. To make sure siguro na babastonin niya na rin itong mga ibang mga cabinet, iba't ibang agencies because parang 2 years na lang rin naman natutira dito sa administration na to. So, I think he will make sure that the unfinished business of the president, no, especially mga policy implementation, etc., will be implemented during the remaining term of the president.
So tingin mo ba yung appointment niya as cabinet secretary will put to rest yung mga rumors na baka daw ibalik siya sa DILG para palitan si Sec. John Vic?
It might, no, pero nagsalita na rin kasi talaga si presidente na hindi niya talaga papalitan si John Vic, no. Marami lang kasing rumors dahil sa mga atong-ang, saldico na, there are a lot of expectations from John Vic Rimulya na medyo na-fail niya ng konti yung public because of his 'di ba? Yung mga statements kasi niya.
Which I think led to yung speculation.
Yes, oo. So, rightfully so, kaya naman may mga ganong mga rumors. Pero, I'm happy to know that Secretary Abalos is back in government, no? We also need people like him, no? Very competent leader.
Do you think he can still play an effective role in the administration given na, medyo 2 years na lang? And up to now, wala siyang pinapalitan, right? Parang inabolish ni PBBM yung position at the start of his term. Pero now, he's recreating
Binalik
it.
nila, oo. So, pwedeng isipin na it's a political accommodation, di ba? Kailangan lang siyang bigyan ng posisyon. Pero ako, personally, tingin ko, he will still be able to help the administration. As I said, maliit na lang yung window ng administration to implement their programs of the president. And I think si Secretary, given his extensive experience, both a lawyer din kasi siya, di ba?
Yes,
So both his extensive experience in legislative, he was a congressman, and as a mayor, alam mo naman, pag mayor, and then as MMDA chairman, etc. So itong mga posisyon na pinagdaanan niya before, I think, would help this administration, no, to make sure that, yung mga pasaway na mga ibang, or
Tama
mga
naman.
non-performing na mga
Parang mababaston.
ibang departments, mabaston niya.
At saka, I agree. Kahit na 2 years yan, any president can always use another smart, experienced advisor.
That's correct.
By their side.
Oo nga. And another another noted on the spokes, Attorney Barry, former president, my president, denied allegations that she is behind the plot to impeach Ombudsman Boying. Alam mo na, nanahimik na nga si ma'am. Hindi ko nga alam ba't lagi siya dinadamay.
Before this morning, quite honestly, hindi ko narinig na may ganyan palang chismis.
Diba? Oo. Alam mo, tahimik siya. Hindi mo siya naririnig lately. Tapos ngayon, meron na mga ganang intriga. Kailangan talagang gawan siya. Kasi yung rumors is yung House impeachment against Ombudsman Boying Rimulya, it started circulating daw last week. I don't know where it started, pero it gained ground. Siyempre, alam mo naman, first of all, pareho silang ngayong, si Ombudsman Revilla, medyo siya ngayon siya yung very controversial.
Because of yung final na case against Senator Marcoleta.
Oo,
yun ang pinaka-recent.
Diba? Kaya nga, oo. And hindi ko lang alam ba't nadama yung boss ko. Hindi, kasi if you will notice...
Did they work together before?
No,
ever?
they did not work together. Pero the good thing about... kaya si Presidente, si PGMA, he has a lot of respect to Ombudsman Revilla. Kasi 2001, when she assumed office after the EDSA Revolution, si Ombudsman Revilla was Assistant Secretary noon. Seso siya. Rimulya.
Yes.
Rimulya. He was Assistant Secretary Seso. And then, ang ginawa niya, nag-resign siya, vacate niya yung office.
He was in PMS, di ba?
Yeah. He was Seso, I think,
Seso,
yeah, oo.
okay.
But he gave way to the president, to PGMA, para daw she can reorganize her, cabinet and yung team niya.
Okay.
No? So for her, that means a lot, no? Giving her that kind of, that leeway. And then, nung congressman kasi si, Boying Rimulya, he was also, very supportive of the legislative measures, mga priority agenda ni PGMA when he was congressman.
Yeah.
Yan. And then, there were also times that, especially during the time of President Aquino, na pinagtatanggol niya si ma'am.
Okay.
No? I think he was even against them, against the case that was filed against her, si Boying Rimulya. He was defending the president.
So sigurado kayo, Sec. Relly, wala talagang katotohanan.
At saka alam mo, si PGMA, parang feeling ko nandun na siya sa stage ngayon ng kanyang political career na, chill na lang siya, di ba? She just wanted to make sure that her constituents will be taken care of in Pampanga. Yan. So, these are the headlines noted by the spokes today. We'll have the outspoken Jess Falcis to share his news on this week's events. Excited po ako kasi sigurado napakataas ng energy level ng aking mga guest, ang ating guest at ng ating co-host ngayon. So, stay tuned. We'll be back.
The spokes is back. With the first week of the impeachment trial laid out, the public already has a glimpse of how both sides intend to fight this historic case.
Joining us to give his personal assessment on the first week of the impeachment trial is political commentator Jesus Falcis. Welcome to the show.
First time ko po to be here. Laging si Sec Edwin Lasherda kasama ko noon at siya Kong Nani.
Kaya
masyado
first
mataas ang
time.
energy namin.
I know, right? Sabi ko nga, listener nyo na lang ako yata this morning.
At first time na namin pinag-partner ni Sec. Relly.
Ang dami first. And I
Yes.
get to meet Ma'am Relly, di ba?
Yeah.
Grabe.
Really?
Really? Yes. And
Yeah.
outspoken ang mo sa akin, introduction.
The outspoken.
I never outspeak the spokes.
Hindi rin. I've watched you and I tell you, you can.
I would not dare. I would not dare.
So, this week, parang kuminsan ayaw mo nang manood no? Pero...
First 3 days, obviously.
have to,
Dahil mo ng mga sinabi.
Yes,
But,
my professor. Oo. First
Diba?
3 days.
Oo nga, professor mo pala siya.
Yes.
Hindi ko nga alam, sabi nga niya.
Well, tayo,
Tanda ka na pala. Sorry ba?
we have to give this...
Bata lang ako nag-start magturo.
Yes.
Kamusta ba siya as
Parang hindi kami
professor?
nagkakalayo Magaling.
Magaling
Sa kanya ko
talaga.
nakuha lahat ng mga absurd scenarios.
Kaya pala siya
Tungkol sa
ganito.
batas.
Kaya pala siya
Tungkol sa
ganito.
batas.
Ikaw pala may kasalanan.
Because
Ako pala sa larin.
You have
Ikaw
to
ang
push the law to
salarin.
its logical conclusion. If it still makes sense by its logical conclusion, okay yung batas. If it doesn't, then baka may mali sa batas.
Okay, on that
Wow,
note, sabi mo, ang assessment mo, nanalo ang prosecution, at least initially sa first 3 days. Pero ano yung,
Worse than that,
ano yung tingin mo? Because of the performance of the lawyers or because of the evidence that actually came out?
Because
Pero
of the
teka muna,
performance.
sigurado ka bang yung assessment mo walang bias? Kaya mo sinasabi yan.
No, I mean,
So,
biased or not, it's plain to see eh. Worse than that na, ang sabi ko, panalang prosecution, no? Worse than that for the defense because the defense helped the prosecution
Sige nga.
win day 1 to day 3.
Ano, paano?
Siguro
Oo,
except day 1, hindi nila tinulungan. Pero day 2 and day 3 tinulungan ng defense na manalo ang prosecution. Because madami sa mga gustong ilabas ng prosecution ay tinutulungan ng defense. For example, yung pagsabpina pa lang, ito, punta na tayo kagad kay Attorney Zulaika Lopez.
Okay, yes.
Yung pagsabpina sa kanya, well, they introduced her crying doon sa video or sa Zoom with the Vice President, and that would make her relevant already and material to be subpoenaed. Plano naman na yun ng prosecution to begin with. But when we come to the trial next week, hindi na pwede questionin ng defense if the testimony of the Chief of Staff, Attorney Zulaika, is relevant or material. Hindi na sila pwede mag-object. Ano pa yung mga pwede nilang object? Well, pwede sila mag-object kasi mahilig sa objections yung kabila. But hindi na nila pwedeng questionin na ano yung relevance. 'Di ba? Kasi I'm sure, kung ako yung defense, hindi ko tatawagin si Attorney Zulaika eh. I would not let the prosecution call her.
Yung sa objections, kasi yung tinawag mong Mr. Objection si Attorney CJ Narvase. Do you think mali yung ginawa niyang tack that he was objecting every step of the way to every part of yung prosecution presentation?
Isang tabi natin yung sa legal, no? Kasi
Yes.
ako, one of my opinions is the impeachment process is over-judicialized. Masyadong legalistic when it should not be the case, no?
Kasi political
But despite
exercise.
that, kasi Filipino culture, and Filipino culture is really to be legalistic. Lahat ng politicians natin, kahit mga ordinaryong Pilipino, parang talagang we bow down to the law. Despite me being a lawyer and talking to a lawyer,
Actually, nag-agree ako sa'yo.
I would like to kasi delegalize. Kailangan less yung focus sa
Technicalities.
Hindi,
technicalities,
tsaka
tsaka
kasi
sa lawyers.
tsaka political exercise kasi ito
Tama.
mainly. It's really not, well,
A
secondary na lang yun,
constitutional
di ba?
political exercise of a democratic mandate with an accountability mechanism. So, alisin muna natin yung sa legal, no? Yung subjections ni Attorney CJ Narvasa, ang dating sa akin, politically, it is too much of heckling na ang dating. And parang bordering dirty tactics. Not in the legal sense.
Sa isang bilang, 47 objections yung ginawa niya in
Hindi
one
ba
day.
minsan strategy ng mga abogado yan para, well, in a way, cause delay or whatever. Parang minsan pag nanonood ako ng mga, sa korte, ganyan din talaga yung ginagawa nila, di ba?
And we give that to the defense, no? They're just doing their job. But sometimes, and like Senator Bamakino and I think si Presiding Officer Chis Escudero, they implored both counsels, no? Not just the defense. Kasi si prosecution, to be fair sa defense, ginaya din ni prosecution si defense, I don't know, para makabawi. Hindi, strategy. No, the strategy is to rattle, to frazzle,
To derail yung narrative.
Derail,
the line of
yes.
questioning.
Tama.
Kasi pag professor ko to noon sa law school, meron siyang train of thought. Hindi mo pwedeng basagin yung train of
Kaya
thought.
nga.
Magtatanong ka ng questions one by one for recitation and it leads to a bombastic conclusion sa law school. So yan ang ayaw ng mga lawyers when they're presenting
Tama.
for direct examination or cross-examination, babasagin mo yung line of thought. Eh yung isang question na kailangan mo, pag hindi na yung nakapasok, kasi na-sustain yung objection, mawawala yung train of thought mo. So
Tama.
lahat ng mga prepare mo na sub-questions, remove. Kailan natin nakita yon kahapon? We saw that yesterday from Attorney CJ Narvasa. May objection si Attorney Ligutan. That's why I say successful ang prosecution eh. Meron siyang objection about a certain document na hindi pa presented or marked. And so it should not be a proper basis for follow-up questions ni Attorney CJ against the NBI agent. Na-sustain yung objection. And so na-drop yung line of questioning. Kaya I don't know if people noticed, this was a moment of weakness for Attorney CJ, no? Napakonsult siya, tumingin siya kay Attorney Sheila Sison, lumapit siya sa bench ng defense table, parang nag-consult siya, o tapos drinap na niya yung line of questioning na susundan sana niya kung hindi na object ni Attorney Ligutan. So, yung original question mo kasi, Attorney Barry, is about, paano natulungan ng defense?
Yes.
Yung,
Yes.
So one, based on their own weakness, natulungan nila, but also based on their goal for the cross-examination, yung mga tanong nila, including yung kay Attorney Zulaika na presentation, because they wanted to make the agent look out of context, na yung kanyang
Hindi kinonsider lahat yung buong video.
assessment ng grave threats, hindi consider yung buong video, pero ang pinili nilang ipakita na context out of the 2 hours, no, na inobject din nila, ayaw nilang present yung 2 minutes lang, gusto nila buong 2 hours. Sa buong 2 hours, ang pinili nila si Attorney Zulaika lang. So, syempre, tinawag ng prosecution for next week.
Yeah.
So in that way, they aided the prosecutor ng
Yes.
defense because of Attorney Zulaika.
Plus, ito pa, baka sabihin, yun lang, tinulungan na ng defense ang prosecution. Yung closing statement, quote-unquote, peroration. Baka hindi napansin ng mga tao, mayroong social na word. Si Senator Chis Escudero. Peroration. Ewan ko kung na-pick up ng mga iba eh. Ako na-pick up ko kasi parang, okay, ito si Senator Chis nagpapakita ng gilas. Among other things, hindi lang yun yung social na word niya. But peroration is like a closing statement.
Yeah.
Closing speech, no? Ang sabi sa closing speech, the remarks of the Vice President may be unconventional but justified. So may implicit admission doon. Correct me if I'm wrong, Professor. Professor ko na.
Na she made the statement.
That she did make the statement, but their defense is that it's legally justified.
Which was the question ni Senator Risa Ontiveros to the defense.
Yes. Ang daming mga nagki-criticize kay Senator Risa Ontiveros, even on the Pinklawan side, sa mga kakampi ni Senator Risa. Bakit nagtanong si Senator Risa day 2 na doon sa prosecution, kung impeachable, anong relevance nitong na to, hindi nyo naman na-prove na nag-contract ng assassin, so prove to us na impeachable ang grave threats per se, parang yung day 2. And she was fair, sabi ng mga DDS, hindi siya fair. Fair siya kasi day 3, tinanong naman niya ang defense counsel, bakit hindi impeachable? She gave them the opportunity to also use that standard. Ang sabi naman ni Attorney Salvador Panelo, kakaibang DDS, because he does not agree with the others, sabi niya tama yung tanong ni Senator Risa, and I agree. Kasi, ang problema ko dito sa mga senator judges, and indulge me, no? And I hope the senators indulge me, no? Si Senator Pia Cayetano is condescending to other senator judges. Pinansin na yan ni Senator Ping Lacson na buti hindi pinapansin ng ibang senator judges. Etong isang senador who seems to be grandstanding and telling other senator judges how to do their job. And porket parang lawyer, kaya ako, galit din ako sa mga lawyers na mayayabang eh. Porket lawyer, parang mas magaling sa mga hindi abogado. Senator Ping Lacson yun balik tayo kay Senator Miriam Defensor Santiago. Sabi ni Senator Miriam noon, sa era of impeachment, if the other senator judges will also raise arguments through their questioning to rebut a fellow senator judge, that is improper daw. Because if that's the case, aantayin daw niya lahat ng senator judges to finish their questions. Sa dulo daw siya magtatanong to rebut all other senator judges. It's improper kasi judges, if we look at the Supreme Court oral arguments, they do not debate each other.
Well, but they ask questions doon sa counsel.
Sa counsel.
Para to raise points na pang-kontra doon sa point ng kabila.
But we don't see it as
I don't think they can help it.
No, but even then, they don't look as antagonistic
Yes.
or as explicit na itong line of questioning ko ay pang-rebut dito sa isang justice. Hindi. It's ang presentation ng mga justices usually is,
It's a straightforward clarificatory question. Tama.
and it's my own line of thought.
Tama.
Ito lang opinion ko Ito yung line of thought ko. Parang pag sa school or sa class ni
Tama.
Attorney Barry, meron siyang line of thought talaga na ilalabas sa mga estudyante.
Pero tama ka doon. Ang isang nagulat ako, yung call out talaga niya. Yung parang sinasabi niya na the other senator should not do this or should not ask this, which seems unusual.
That's absolutely improper.
Oo, hindi kasi equal sila eh.
Yeah.
Oo. Yeah. And pinag-usapan na natin si Senator Pia. Paano si Senator Peter? What do you think of that?
Ayun nga, tandem sila eh. Silang dalawa ang nagsasabi sa atin, sa taong bayan, why the anti-political dynasty bill should be passed. Kasi may tandem ng dalawang abogadong nagdudunong-dunungan na mas magaling sila sa ibang senator judges. Parang napaka-patronizing, hindi lang condescending, patronizing, infantilizing, condescending sa ibang senator judges. They should know that just because they're lawyers doesn't mean they're better than others. Look at Senator Amy Marcos, pasimple lang. Hindi siya abogado. Pero nag-raise siya ng Supreme Court decision. And thank you kay Senator Amy Marcos kasi binara niya yung defense. Pinapalabas ng defense that the NBI
Baka hindi niya alam na binabara niya yung defense.
Feeling ko alam niya eh. Kasi blood is thicker than water.
Ganun
Blood
ba?
is thicker than Sara. Ano ba ginawa ni Senator Amy? Sabi ng defense, sa line of questioning nila, the NBI is, yun yung pinaparating nila, ito hindi ito yung sinabi nila actually. Parang pinaparating nila na bias yung NBI because they were investigating the threats against the first family and the president without investigating the equal quote-unquote threats di umano. Yun yung ipapalabas
Hindi
nila
ba?
To the Vice President.
Ito yung
And to-
Oplan Romanov.
Yes.
And to Attorney Zulaika. Doon muna tayo kay Attorney Zulaika kasi yun yung present. So, yung line of questioning in defense. Pagdating kay Senator Judge Amy Marcos, nag-manifest siya that you don't have to file a case. They don't have to file a case because motu proprio based on Supreme Court decisions, meron siyang sinayt na Supreme Court decision, they can file without the complainant. Barado yung defense doon with Senator Judge Amy Marcos. How does that relate to Alan Peter and Pia Cayetano? Ba't hindi nila binara si Senator Amy Marcos for arguing and for raising those improper things, di ba? You cannot stop a senator judge from asking questions that they want to make a point with. Like si Senator Kiko, winis niya yung credentials. Senator Raffy, winis nila yung credentials ng witness. Kasi, yung defense, they were trying to downplay the credentials. Actually, the defense was also very condescending, if not rude, to the witness. Are you a lawyer? Bakit mo pakikwestyunin yun? Hindi ba basic research, alam mo na dapat na hindi naman lawyer yung NBI agent? Hindi naman din lumabas sa line of questioning. Ano yung relevance nung question na yon? Tapos yung motu proprio, no offense, and this is just a joke. This is just a joke. First time ko lang narinig, motu proprio from a lawyer. It's motu. Wala akong narinig na ibang lawyer who says motu. Siya lang ang narinig ko nagsabi ng motu. And why is that relevant? Because he's asking the witness, is he a lawyer? And yet siya, di ba condescending siya, alam mo ba yung motu proprio? Tinanong ni Attorney CJ Narvasa, that's highly improper. Kaya nga nag-object si Attorney Ligutan because argumentative, combative, without relevance or substance to the actual meat of the case. Ang purpose ng cross-examination is to combat the offer of evidence or the offer of purpose for the witness. Wala namang kinalaman yun eh. Ano ba, credibility? Hindi naman niya na-build yung line of questioning. So, why do that in the first place?
Pero again, hindi ba strategy? Hindi ba? Sabi mo nga, they're just doing their job. Pero napansin ko lang si Attorney Barry, parang nagiging speechless sa estudyante niya.
Hinahayaan ko
Proud
siyang
ka ba?
mag-shine.
Proud ka ba sa estudyante mo?
Ma'am,
Proud pride yan. Yung silence ito is the silence of pride.
Yung sinasabi niyo po, okay yan yung strategy kung naging successful eh. Kaso hindi naging successful. So nagmukhang
They have
rude.
to attempt, diba?
Nagmukhang condescending. They have to attempt, but again, and this is not on the legal side. I'm talking about the political side. I also want to emphasize this is the first impeachment trial na social media
Tama.
friendly.
Tama.
Noon, yung impeachment trial, hindi masyado nakafocus in terms of appealing and displaying your prowess in front of social media. Ngayon, it is. Anong relevance nun kay Attorney CJ Narvasa? Kasi parang madami sa mga tanong niya ay parang pang splice, pang clip, para mag-viral sa social media na merong gotcha moment na natalo or nahuli itong witness na nagmukha tuloy yung witness na hindi credible.
So in that sense, hindi team ba successful yung attempt niya to provide yung ganong mga pieces of content that can then be transformed into, clips that show na,
Naisip niya pa yun, ano?
nadali ni CJ Narvasa yung witness.
Yes, unfortunately, that is true. I would give the defense that.
Okay.
That in terms of their own echo chamber, kasi ngayon hati-hati na yung echo chambers eh. In terms of the echo chamber of the Vice President, talagang panalo yung defense. Kasi pag sinabi kong panalo yung prosecution, I'm sure sasabihin online, bias, hindi yan totoo. Kasi nga kanya-kanya ng echo chamber ngayon eh. But I would agree na he was successful if that was the purpose.
intention, no?
If that was the intention,
To create
definitely.
yung mga moments na ngayon na pwedeng gawing
Na pwede mag-trending.
Kasi na-monitor ko na din actually, na-clip na, nag-viral na
So,
ang mga-
successful, ano?
Hindi lang yun, ito yung isang mas malala na ginawa ni Attorney CJ Narvasa. Tinanong niya yung witness, did you really investigate? I withdraw the question. In an instant, in less than a nanosecond, without hesitation, withdraw niya yung question. So what was the purpose? And many lawyers are calling him out, not me. Many other trial lawyers are calling him out that it's an old, dirty tactic which is to raise a question just so that other people can hear it, the jury can hear it, the judge can hear it, and in this case, the general Filipino public can hear it. But you really had no intention of seriously asking that because you know that it would be sustained as an objection because it's combative, it's baseless, it doesn't lead to nowhere, to anywhere. So withdraw na kagad. Kung withdraw mo in less than a nanosecond, alam mong i-withdraw mo. Bakit mo pa tinanong? The purpose is to let it linger in the minds of the public, especially your own echo chamber.
Eto, taking a step back lang to day one, there was a long discussion on the appropriateness of the Senate designating a presiding officer other than the Senate President. And isa sa yung dalawang paborito mong senador, si Senator Alan Peter Cayetano at si Senator Pia Cayetano, were at the forefront of that argument, which has now since resulted in a Supreme Court case being filed by Attorney Torion. Your thoughts on that entire debate?
Bakit? Siguro more, if I may,
Sure.
Attorney Wary, I think the question really is, what do you think is the reason why the Cayetano siblings are really
opposing or making a big issue out of it?
Dami nating pwedeng dito i-analyze, no? Immediately to that question, the answer, I think it's because re-electionist si Senator Cheese in 2028 and re-electionist din si Senator Alan Peter in 2028, if I am not mistaken. And isa din sa rason bakit gusto ni Senator Alan Peter Cayetano na maging Senate President is to be the presiding officer of the impeachment trial. For what purpose? You have daily mileage. You have hourly mileage. Lahat ng tao nakatutok sa iyo. And madaming tao ngayon, excluding me, na i-impress kay Senator Chis Escudero. Well, ako impress naman siguro kahit papano, no? He's handling it well. But syempre, hindi ko pa din siya gusto. May iba pa din akong reservations with him. But so far, if I am to be objective, he's doing a good job with some reservations pa. Meron pa akong problema sa pagpe-preside niya, no? Pero yung kay Senator Alan, yung sa tanong mo, ang sagot dyan, ayaw ni Senator Alan na mas magkaroon ng mileage and chance for rehabilitation or redemption si Senator Cheese. Kasi if you look at the votes right now, divided talaga yan. Ang asahan mong boto sa 2028, if pro-Duterte ka, are the Duterte votes. Malabo mo makuha ang Marcos loyalist votes and ang Pinklawan. So si Senator Cheese Escudero can now play to the Pinklawan and the Marcos loyalist crowd. Of course, he already lost also the Duterte votes kasi trinador niya not just once but twice. Parang yun yung dating sa mga DDS kasi nga nag-shift back siya to the majority. Akala nila, kakampi nila. But that's the first answer. Yung I think yung sa legal, no? Well, that's already pending with the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
But what I want to say here politically is that what Senator Pia and Senator Alan are doing is very classic Duterte, which is gaslighting. Sinasabi nila, sila ang tama, sinasabi nila na kailangan the Senate President should be the one to preside. When the consensus even among lawyers is that the Constitution is silent. Correct me if I'm wrong. Kaya andito naman si Attorney Barry Gutierrez. It's silent on sino ang presiding officer pag Vice President ang on trial. Ang mandatory lang ay pag ang Presidente ang on trial, Chief Justice ang magpe-preside. So if the Constitution is silent, then what is not prohibited is allowed. Pwedeng gawin ng Senate yan under its own rules. So kaya nag-object si Senator Alan and Pia because of the reasons I stated kanina. But legally, it's gaslighting. Gaslighting, sinasabi nila sila yung tama. When obviously they're wrong. Most lawyers, the consensus of most lawyers na hindi DDS will say that the presiding officer is the choice of the Senate.
Ang akin naman, bakit kasi hindi na lang si Win Gatchalian if he is also capable para wala nang question?
Fair point.
No?
That's
kasi
also a fair
nangyayari, nilalagyan pa, may risk patuloy ngayon because eto na nga,
Magkaroon pa ng issue,
may kaso
basically.
patuloy, diba? So why not him if he's more than capable to do so?
But I think, Senator Win is humble and he knows his limits. Aside from the fact na una, ang totoong rason niya is iba ang legislative work versus impeachment work. So, baka two heads are better than one. Yun ang sinasabi niya. Focus ako in terms of legislative work, especially given na magkakaroon na ng budget season. In preparation for the budget this October, yung pagpapasa ng budget. Mahirap yan, So, dun siya nakatutok. But second, he knows his limits probably that it would be better, he can, but it is more ideal to let a fellow senator who is a lawyer be the presiding officer. Given from day 1 to day 3, nakita naman natin. Kahit ayaw ko kay Senator Cheese, kaya niyang i-rule on the spot and i-put into place ang defense counsel at ang prosecution counsel because he knows the legal context.
Iba naman talaga pag lawyer. So you think who is winning between them?
Iba naman talaga pag lawyer, pero I also have to say, I would have wanted as well a non-lawyer to preside. But yun na yung decision nila eh.
Oh, why would you say that? Na you want a non-lawyer?
Because the Constitution nga doesn't mandate that the senator and a Senate president eventually is a lawyer. It's a prerequisite. So all senators can be a Senate president and all of them can be presiding officer. So they should be more rules-based rather than law-based. Iba yung rules because rules can be parliamentary rules.
Yeah.
Rules can be impeachment rules. So you don't have to be legalistic about it.
Okay. What are you expecting from Attorney Zulaika Lopez, who has been subpoenaed as a witness next week? But before you answer this, the spokes will return after this short break.
We're back. Now, still with Attorney Jess Falcis. Yung hanging question natin kanina, di ba tinanong ni Attorney Barry, what are you expecting from Attorney Zulaika Lopez, who has been subpoenaed as witness next week?
Well, first of all, I think her testimony would add to the fact na the grave threats were true, that it happened. Kasi until now, there are still people questioning whether or not authentic or nakuha ba yung original.
O AI ba to?
O AI ba to? Bakit hindi si Zoom or bakit hindi si Meta yung an expert witness dito? Bakit itong NBI agent na to? Hindi hata alam kasi kahit senator judges. May ibang senator judges parang hindi alam yung science and technology behind it. Ituog ko na din muna before I answer yung kay Attorney Zulaika. That also showed the weakness of the defense. They never questioned the science and technology behind the video or the live stream. But maybe that's because gagamitin din kasi nila yung video. So to begin with, bakit pa nila rin-erase nung umpisa na 2 hours, competent ba tong si Kalilong, etc. Pero yung kay Attorney Zulaika, that's one. If you ask her, she will know because she was beside the Vice President when she made those grave threats. So maliban sa fact na na-zoom or na live stream yung press ko na yon, yung grave threats na yon, she heard it personally. So that's one. Second, syempre, I think it would also let the prosecution recontextualize yung attempt naman ng defense to contextualize yung alleged death threat, Operation Romanov, at pag-aalipusta yung lack of due process na sinasabi ng defense justifies the unconventional remarks. So it's like a preemptive attack. Kahit maging hostile witness si Attorney Zulaika, uunahan na ng prosecution rather than just let it linger and later on, the defense can use it months later. Kasi later pa magpe-present ng evidence ang defense.
So, expecting from VP Sara, whose grave threats to the President, di ba, ako parang, hindi ba justifiable naman talaga na parang she's kind of reacting to that grave threat also to her family? What do you think?
But she has to prove that eh. That is the problem. She has not proven that. Ano yung proof niya na may Operation Romanov? Nag-file ba siya ng case? Yung inahanap nila na mag-file si PBBM, si First Lady, at si Martin Romualdez ng kaso ng grave threats, bakit walang,
I-apply rin sa
bakit
kanya
walang
yun?
pinafile si VP Sara? Kung totoo yon to begin with. Other than that, kung hindi man mag-file ng case, bakit hindi sa atin kinikwento? Ano yung pweba? Nakailang press con na, of course, pero may mga hindi nga press con si VP Sara. Pero hindi naman niya kinikwento ano yung reason or intelligence behind her claim na may Operation Romanov. And so, let's assume that to be true naman. Okay, so even then, why do you need to say those words? When you can just file a case.
Masyado siyang naging emotional, no? Oo.
And the emotion is not just the emotion. It is the impropriety as an elected official
Yun,
who is impeachable that you are the line of successor to the president and you would threaten to kill even though as a condition. Let's assume conditional siya, no? Pero sabi ng witness, absolute. Even if it's as a condition, it's not for you to proclaim it to the public. Mag-file ka ng kaso, prove your case in court para pa yung sympathy ng tao ay nasa iyo and you don't violate the law yourself.
And that mistake is already
Permanent,
and
irreversible.
yeah, and deserving to be impeached, you think?
Oh yes, because nasabi na yan ng framers of the Constitution, high crimes, bribery, etc. are not the only grounds. Gumawa tayo ng bagong ground
Betrayal.
sa Constitution. Betrayal of public trust, which the framers have said may fall short of a crime. Kahit hindi crime yung grave threats, kahit conditional at may justification, no? May fall short of a crime, but falls short of the expectations of decent behavior and proper
Basically,
behavior
fitness for office.
for a
ang
government
measure.
official.
Yeah. Pero, do you think that this will, yung pagtawag kay Atty. Zulaika in the impeachment trial by the prosecution, do you think it will provoke another response from the Vice President? Kasi mukhang, yun ang pinagmulan nung kanyang outburst if we can
niya,
call
yung
it that.
emotions
The
niya,
fact na
oo.
si Atty. Zulaika was called by the House and then
Held in contempt.
and then was going to be sent to yung Women's Correctional. So ngayong, ito na naman, papatawag, do you think it will provoke a similar emotional response?
But we have to recall first, no, na because of what VP Sara did before, hindi napunta sa Women's Correctional. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Hindi nga.
Si Atty. Zulaika. So that is how much protective the VP is of Atty. Zulaika. And that is what puzzles many. Even political observers like me. I can speculate, but I wouldn't kasi kulang ng basis eh. But the speculation is rife for speculation because bakit nga napaka-super protective compared sa ibang quote-unquote na pressure ng House and not ng Quadcom nagkamali doon si Atty. CJ Navarsa, na pressure ng Committee on Public Accountability ni Congressman Joel Chua, if I'm not mistaken, among many people who work for VP Sara, sa lahat ng, even if I consider, which I don't, na pressure at inalipusta ng gobyerno itong mga to, unjustly or unfairly, bakit si Atty. Zulaika lang? Ang ganong level na talagang pumunta pa siya sa House, sinamahan, in-ensure na hindi makukulong sa Women's Correctional, which is actually double standard as well. That's also undemocratic, improper in terms of the Constitution. Na, bakit?
Special treatment.
Special treatment, yes. Duterte, double standards. DDS.
Naku,
Alam mo, yung mga
kung may
soundbite.
mga DDS talagang nanonood dito.
Madami ang DDS ngayon eh. Duterte, Defender, Senators.
Galit na galit
Hindi,
sila
pero-
pag nakikinig sila sa atin ngayon.
Going back lang dun sa theory ng defense. Kasi one thing na pinapalabas nga nila, because of these supposed earlier threats, justified yung sinabi ni VP
Ni VP Sara.
Now, one way to look at that is justified because it was a response. Ako, may duda ako, obviously, kasi hindi siya nag-meet ng standards ng self-defense. Pero, if you view it as, well, na-trigger siya. So, it was an emotional response. So, it could not be taken as a serious threat dahil it was just an emotional outburst. Diba? Parang hindi dapat take literally yan. Talagang galit lang siya. At yun yung ano. Do you think that can pass?
No, that would still be impeachable. Kasi nga, as you mentioned earlier, impeachment assess not only whether or not you committed a crime, like yung mga high crimes, bribery, treason, etc. It also involves fitness for public office. So yung ganong outburst, gusto ba natin ng ganong vice president na who is parang loose cannon and who cannot temper her emotions to be objective and follow the rule of law, which is either mag-file ka sa Supreme Court or mag-object ka sa House of Representatives by appearing there personally and lobby for your case rather than accompany Zulaika in the middle of the night and prevent officers from lawfully transferring her to the Women's Correctional.
Yun kasi yung mahirap pagka talagang public official ka eh. It demands higher expectations from you.
A higher standard.
A higher standard.
And that exemplifies why, even though she has declared that she will run for president in 2028, that she's not fit to be president. Imagine if the Philippines had nuclear weapons and you had a person with the temperament of the vice president na may kalaban tayo, let's say a diplomatic officer or presidente ng kabilang bansa na nagkasagutan sila. Pwede kasi mangyari yun eh. Magkainisan. May temper pala let's say President Sara Duterte. Baka kinikilig ang mga DDS when I say President Sara Duterte. Terror forbid.
Grabe.
Wala,
Hindi, pero
too late.
don't you-
Nasa-slice na yun.
No, but if
Pero
she
don't
possesses
you
the nuclear,
think that,
if we had nuclear weapons, imagine that. And then what if she calls declaration of war just because napikon siya?
Hindi, pero don't you think that what happened here is already lessons for her no, in the future, that she has to have that kind of control.
Control her temper.
Oo, control niya yung temper niya. Sana naman may lessons learned, di ba?
It doesn't seem to be the case eh. Kasi fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Eh, yung temper niya has been displayed already in many other instances. And she actually hasn't, baka bumalik sa akin to, no? But she actually hasn't been punished for that, which is punching the sheriff. Walang accountability doon. So, she has displayed her temper and her pattern of behavior for violence, which the prosecution also wants to prove, no? I think they also want to call the sheriff eventually sa impeachment trial. So, it cannot be na we forgive this once. Hindi na, hindi pwede.
In terms of the defense, what do you think that they will ask on cross if si Attorney Zulaika is called next week?
How will they prepare?
Well, I think they will emphasize again the context that the threat made by the Vice President was spurred by a good concern, by good faith. Personally, I would not follow that line of defense, no? Ang dali kasing i-rebut eh. Kaya hindi ko din masabi na with a straight face, natatawa ako. Just following that line of thinking eh. Ang dali kasing i-rebut. I think there are other ways to defend the Vice President, which please, don't ask me kasi ayoko tulungan yung defense. Si Senator Alan Peter Cayetano, tinulungan na yung defense eh. Tinulungan na niya yung prosecution eh. He harmed the defense.
Paano?
The prosecution never extracted from the witness that the threat was absolute. Only prosecutor Alan Peter Cayetano extracted that concession. So it's forever on the records. Tapos hindi pa tinalunan ng defense. The defense did not jump on it to try to re-clarify or point out that the witness was inconsistent.
Teka, was that a mistake or was he like trying to do something, I don't know, was it a strategy? Bakit kaya?
My impression initially of what Alan Peter Cayetano was doing was to try to emphasize that the threat was conditional.
Yeah, yun din ang
Yun
takeaway ko.
nga, bakit kailangan pa na sabihin niya na
He
it's
did not
absolute?
really ask that question.
Okay.
He didn't ask the question to extract the answer na absolute. It was only because NBI agent Mark Calilong was really of the presence of mind and mukhang magaling talaga si witness. Ina-underestimate siya, or actually matalino siya. Sabi niya, in my assessment, it's absolute.
So, meron tayong question from our live viewer. Comment from Ms. Menshu Yamamoto's. Zulaika next week will be tasty for the prosecution. Again, from live viewer Alson Maria, the defense was successful in proving that the witness is not an expert witness. What do you think about that?
Ayun,
Comment yan.
Bumenta yung propaganda ng defense, which is for any objective, reasonable person, pag review mo yung day 3, there is no such thing. Because the defense counsel was trying to say the NBA agent was not an expert witness when to begin with. Hindi naman yun ang sinabi ng prosecution. Ang sinabi ng prosecution is competent witness as to the authentication of the video. One. Second, actually, with all due respect to Attorney CJ Narvasa, siyang napahiya doon. Because he also tried to drop that line na as an expert witness in digital forensics, etc. Kinorek siya. Then and there, on the spot, kasi nga may presence of mind. Si Calilong sabi niya, I'm not an expert witness. I'm a competent witness.
At saka quite honestly, hindi siya kailangang i-present as an expert witness because he was not being asked about his opinion. He was being asked about things directly within his personal knowledge.
About a fact.
Exactly.
Yes. And if he was really an expert witness, or yun yung issue, Senator Cheese, as the presiding officer, kasi nga lawyer siya, he knows that, and the counsels of both sides would have followed the procedure to qualify a witness as an expert witness. Hindi yan pwedeng, expert namin to, isasalang namin si Attorney Barry Gutierrez, expert siya on this.
He would have been asked about his credentials, his experience.
May qualification, yes.
Yeah.
One of the things na kailangan kong tanong, ito, babanggit mo kasi na bakit wala yung Panelo father and son team dun sa defense team. Masaya ka na ba kahapon na parang nandun yata si Secretary Panelo nakaupo sa...
Only as an audience or as an observer Ako, alam naman ng mga tao yung aking political biases. But I have great respect for Attorney Sal and Attorney Paulo, even though I vehemently disagree with them a lot of times in terms of both legal and political issues. And kahit dun sa sariling show namin sa Politico Talks, no, naka-debate ko niyan, quote-unquote, si Attorney Sal. But I respect him kasi yung mga legal points niya, sounds like a maverick. Pero actually, makes sense. Like yung habeas corpus kay Duterte noon, siya yung nagsasabi noon na may mali sa ganun. Dapat yun daw yung ginawa. Tapos ngayon, feeling ko lang, sa tingin ko lang naman, we cannot prove this kasi hindi na siya yung lawyer ni VP Sara. But if Attorney Sal and Attorney Paolo Panelo were the lawyers in the impeachment trial, and not to denigrate the defense team, I would just say that there would be more improvements in the defense. They could have an added value. They don't have to replace the defense team. They can just also be co-counsels. And I think lalakas
So you
ang defense.
kailangan palitan yung mga defense
Hindi nga,
lawyer niya.
no,
So
hindi.
dagdag
Sabi ko,
lang sila.
Dagdag lang. Value-added tax.
So,
Kasi kasama yun sa tough question supposedly, Attorney Barry. Di ba? So if you are the lead counsel, would you, well, I think this was already answered, di ba? So another tough question, Attorney Barry? Kasi kanina, you say that hindi mo naman papalitan yung defense team niya.
Hindi nila
if you're the
kailangan
lead
palitan.
counsel.
Dagdagan. Bakit hindi dagdagan?
And the panelos can be added to them.
Ang galing, napaka-witty, napaka-charismatic, and and again, I disagree with these people, legally and politically. But when I hear them, they are witty, they are charismatic, they think on their feet.
okay, ito, last tough question na natin. With only 21 senator judges now in the impeachment court, do you see the threshold of 16 for conviction or acquittal being adjusted if this is brought before the Supreme Court? Or at least revisited by the Senate impeachment court?
I think it depends how it's brought to the Supreme Court. If it's just randomly by the prosecution panel now to question the decision or statement of Senator Cheese or by a third party, baka malabo. I think the best route is, and I hope this happens, is that if the Senate allows Senator Marcoleta and Senator Jinggoy to observe, to participate just by observing without giving manifestations or voting on the spot, no, as an impeachment court, I think that should be questioned. Kasi nga, the plunder law is clear. They are suspended.
Section 5.
And in relation with that, dapat ituhog na nung petition whether or not they should be counted as part of the 24. I agree with many other lawyers, 16 is not set in stone. Pero ako, ibang argument ko eh. It's not really the 2/3 of all the members who are participating per se lang na mababago mo yung 16 out of 24. Ang aking argument dyan, logically to, hindi to legally. Actually, this is more democratic and more political. Nobody should be able to vote and be counted in voting if they did not participate. They did not read. They did not hear the witnesses. Naka 3 days na eh. They would never have heard Mark Calilong. Kasi part yun ng pagiging judge eh. Yung seeing the demeanor, kung nagsisinungaling ka, kung credible ka, yung pawis mo, kung paano ka sumagot, respectfully or not, na parang natatakot ka or nag-hesitate. Lahat yan, sinabi na ng Supreme Court is what makes the RTC judges different from Court of Appeals and the Supreme Court. That's one. Second, pag sa justice yan, sa Court of Appeals or sa Supreme Court, pag umabsent sila, pag abroad sila, pag hindi sila nakaparticipate sa case, hindi din sila counted sa vote. So sa akin ang argument ko, it's actually a violation of due process ng state or ng prosecution if you count senators in the mathematics for conviction.
Okay. Yan, nakakahinga na tayo.
Due process
Thank you
for
so
the VP,
much.
due process naman for the prosecution. So it should be 14 out of 21.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Attorney Falcis. We wish we have more time.
As Bilyonaryo News Channel expands its reach in Central Luzon, catch the delayed telecast of the Spokes daily from 5 to 6 p.m. just before agenda on CLTV 31. I'm former VP spokesperson Attorney Barry Gutierrez.
So mga kababayan ko sa Nueva Ecija at sa Central Luzon, kita-kita po tayo sa CLTV. Excited po kami na nandiyan na rin po ang Spokes. I'm former Secretary Relly Fajardo and we are the Spokes.